Hello everyone, my name is Aniq Arman Norzaidi and I am a 5th year student and a representative from Faculty of Dentistry, SCATE University. And this is our research topic, Impact of COVID-19 on Mental and Emotional Health of Dental Undergraduate Students, a Cross-Sectional Study. These are the contents of my presentation. Let's move on to the introduction. The COVID-19 pandemic has disrupted all walks of life, including all the examples shown on this slide, as well as education. When it comes to education, dental education is no exception. It affects us in ways of university closure, closure of clinics, postponement of exams, cessation in research, and most importantly, psychological impacts. The sensation of fear and anxiety about the new disease and what could happen can have an overwhelming effect and cause strong emotions in adults and children. Public health actions such as social distancing can make people feel isolated and lonely, and thus increase their stress and anxiety. The psychological impact of COVID-19 has been shown to be immense in terms of moderate to severe depressive as well as anxiety-related symptoms in general public. Stress during an infectious disease outbreak can have some impacts on the physical, mental, and emotional health. Some of the examples are as the following. Fear and worry about their own health and the health of their loved ones, changes in sleeping or eating patterns, insomnia, worsening or chronic health problems or mental health conditions, increased usage of tobacco, alcohol, or any other harmful substances. Such data is very important on dental undergraduates to help them cope with stress and promote overall well-being. Also, I believe that it's the responsibility of the faculty to help the students in times when they are away from their family by identifying such symptoms and providing them with moral and psychological support in addition to tending to their academic needs. Hence, the aim of this survey is to assess the impact of COVID-19 on mental and emotional health of dental undergraduate students in our faculty. Our objectives include assessing the psychological impact of students using a questionnaire, identify the students who require additional help, and extending the help by referring them to the faculty. Moving on to the methodology. The study was conducted at Faculty of Dentistry in SCATE University with the permission from the SCATE Ethics Committee. Study design was descriptive cross-sectional in a sample size of 227 dental students. It includes year 1 to year 5 but exclude those who was not willing to give their consent through the online survey disseminated. The survey was then conducted using a validated questionnaire. Few steps were taken while planning the questionnaire. First, it was adopted from a previous study by Hung et al. Second, the questionnaire was then modified as per the study needs. Third, the content was validated by a psychologist. And lastly, for clarity purpose, 10 students were given the questionnaire beforehand as a pilot study. Feedback and modification of the questionnaire was made accordingly. The internal consistency through Cronbach's alpha was 0.79. These are some examples of our questionnaire. Moving on to the questionnaire dissemination. The validated questionnaires were converted into Google Forms and then it was disseminated through emails and class WhatsApp groups for the participants to answer. For statistical analysis, the data was analyzed using SPSS software version 22. Descriptive statistics like percentage, mean and standard deviation were used while the data was then presented in the forms of tables, pictograms, and graphs. Now, let's move on to the results of the research. For the demographic distribution, the questionnaire was sent to 227 BDS students from year 1 to year 5. Of them, 193 responded to the survey with a response rate of 85%. About 66% were females and 34% were males. The mean age of the participants was 21.8 plus minus 0.5 years. Out of the 100%, 17% were from year 1, 21% from year 2, 19% from year 3, 22% from year 4, and 21% from year 5. Now, moving on to the first element of our research, which is the mental health of our participants at the time they were answering the survey. 79.8% felt more concerned about their physical health, 38.3% felt no normal sleep during COVID-19 period, and 60.1% felt anxious about contacting the COVID-19. Moving on, 63.7% were worried about contacting COVID-19 while treating patients, 50.8% were worried about contacting COVID-19 while attending class, and 63.2% were worried about contacting COVID-19 while being in the campus area. As for the fear related to financial insecurity, 60% felt financial instability, 45% feel that it will be difficult for them to find a job after graduation, 29% felt difficulty in meeting the financial needs. Now, the last component of the research which was conducted was the emotional health of the participants. 71.5% were able to control their emotional health, 30% felt they had no control over important things in their life, 35.2% could not cope up with their routine, 42% felt stressed, 28% felt more angry, and 54% felt they were uncertain about their future. Continuing the same component from the last slide, 21.2% felt depressed, 92.2% felt worried about their family members, 43% were missing on social activities, and 19.7% just felt lonely. Now, I would like to elucidate more on the results on the discussion part of the presentation. As we all know, WHO declared the 2019 novel coronavirus outbreak as a public health emergency. The Malaysian government imposed the Movement Control Order on the 18th March 2020 to control the spread of virus, which inevitably can harm the mental health of the people due to fear of infection as well as frustration due to lockdown. Mental health covers emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It helps us determine how we perceive, act, and respond to external and internal stimuli. It helps to decide how we cope with tension, interact with others, and make decisions. Symptoms of adverse psychological outcomes were displayed when individuals were challenged by mandatory quarantine, unexpected unemployment, and uncertainty associated with the COVID-19 outbreak. Students in the most vulnerable age group of 18 to 25 years for developing negative psychological well-being due to disruption of social and academic activities. Some of them were away from their families for long periods of time. Hence, this study was undertaken to identify such students and help them overcome the situation they are in these trying times. Half of our study participants feared that they would be contacting COVID-19 when classes resumed its normal schedule. This results obtained reveals the double-edged nature of the COVID-19 lockdown. On one hand, there is fear of contacting the virus if they go out, and on the other hand, there is depression and loneliness of being at home. Depression, anxiety, and stress are the three main indicators of psychological health. In our study, prevalence of depression was 20%, anxiety was 35%, and stress was 42%. When compared, our participants had a higher level of stress compared to the global values. This could be attributed due to change in their routine from classroom to online activities with more asynchronous learning off the campus. Anxiety could have been due to uncertainty about graduating on time, fear of increasing backlog of clinical work, and the non-availability of the cases to complete the competency test. Depression could have been because of loneliness and lack of normal social gatherings and meeting with friends on the campus. As for the financial health aspect, more than half of the students felt financial instability, lack of future job opportunities, and one-third faced difficulty in meeting their regular financial needs. During the pandemic, families have experienced financial troubles due to salary cuts, retrenchment, dying business activities, and lack of employment opportunities. As for the health of family members, more than 90% of the students feared about a family member contacting COVID-19. This fear is but natural when one stays away from the family, and fear of losing near and dear ones to a pandemic, especially when the infection rate is on an increasing trend. Our participants had a lower level of depression as compared to the global values. This could be attributed to the online mentoring session organized by faculty every week to heed to students' academic and personal issues. Finally, we are reaching the end of the presentation, which is the conclusion of our research. COVID-19 pandemic had an impact on the mental and emotional health of our dental undergraduate students. The effects were seen as depression at 20%, anxiety 35%, and stress at 42%, which was the highest value among these three. Faculties need to extend moral and psychological support to students in such difficult times. However, more studies are required to measure the levels of each of these effects. With that, this concludes my presentation. These are our references. I would like to acknowledge our Dean of Faculty of Dentistry, Dr. Ahmad Tirmizi bin Zamzuri, Student Research Facilitator, Dr. Daniel, and all the participants of this study. Thank you everyone for listening.